welcome to another episode of the Rayados90 Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie, and joining me, as always, is Fernando and Zamira. It's been a while. Last we recorded, I think, was like right after the season was ended. And then I went on vacation, and then there was a Club World Cup, and so yeah, there was a lot going on. Yeah, we're kind of we're gonna freestyle it. This was supposed to be a live, but I took a nap and I I didn't do like the preparation that you need to do for a live. So I'll try to do it next week for sure. But how are you guys? We experienced the Club World Cup. It was it was an amazing ride. I mean, Monterrey drew against Inter Milan. They I think to me, I was kind of disappointed that they drew against River Plate, and then they beat up on Ruhr Red Diamonds, and then they gave Borussia Dortmund a good fight. I thought it was going to end. Thought it wasn't going to be a fight. I thought they were just going to roll over after they conceded 2 goals, but they put up a fight. They should have scored in that little time frame between the start of the second half and like the 70th minute mark, but at the end of the day, you're playing against one of the a top Europe, not a top European team, but a prominent European team. But where do you guys want to start? I'll let you guys take the floor. I'll start with Fernando.
It was a penalty against Deosa. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, we've already seen all the videos going around, like explaining the rules. To me, it was a penalty.
You mean the one with Tecatito?
No. The one that
Inter Milan. Yeah. That would have been a game. I mean, there was a moment. I don't know we're freestyling here, but there was a moment in that game against Ruhr Red Diamonds where Monterrey was going to finish top of the group, but River Plate went down to 10 men, and then Inter Milan just took advantage of that, and they won 2-0 to do their part of that pact in Seattle that they were talking about. But I'll let you guys start. Where do you guys want to start with the Club World Cup? Let's just summarize it. I'll start with you, Fernando, first. How was not just your experience, but overall, did it meet your expectations? Did you think, okay, this was, because a lot of people at the end of it, including myself, said next year when they play CONCACAF, that should be the priority because you need to book your trip. You need to book your trip for 2029. And to me, being part of this, and a lot of people are now starting to figure it out, especially those who follow Liga MX, that there's more value now. Obviously, it's not the prize money because you only get like $5 million for CONCACAF, but like being at the Club World Cup and Monterrey took away 20 million, but you got to add in taxes. I don't know how that works.
It's supposed to be already taxed and everything.
Yeah, so it's 20 million. Man, that 13 million would have been nice if they would have pulled off against Dortmund. But I think it's now starting to people are starting to realize that the Champions Cup or whatever they call it is more important than the league now. It's more important. Like, it took a while, but people are starting to realize, like, okay, that's more important than the league because you get to experience this. And hopefully this is here to stay. There's some Europeans who are whining about it, and I do not care what they have to say. But I hope this is something that keeps going forward because it is just an amazing experience. You get to play all these random clubs that you probably wouldn't, and it's been official matches. But let me go back to the beginning. I'll ask you, Fernando, and I'll go over to Zamira. Just your overall thoughts and how important it is now to win CONCACAF when Monterrey plays next year. Just now being a part of this experience. I'll start with you, Fernando. Give me your overall thoughts on the tournament. Just overall, like, just the experience, and how did you see Monterrey perform in this? What are some, like, because there are some, for me, I really wish they would have built the squad a little bit better for this competition because you saw against Dortmund, once you took out Berterame, and you inserted De La Rosa and Plátano, it's like, okay, yeah, this
You
is
couldn't do anything at that point.
that's. I mean, I get the subs came in late, but I do understand that you look at the end of the bench, and I think it was only like Lucas Campos, and maybe you can count Johan Rojas as like maybe they can give you something. But other than that, it was like, okay, yeah, no. But give me your overall thoughts just on the tournament, Monterrey's performance, and then just going forward, how important it is to like win Concacaf and be a part of this in 4 years down the road.
I mean, I feel like yeah, the at least the prior format that we had for the Club World Cup uh didn't make it enough for CONCACAF to be taken into consideration. But I feel like at least CONCACAF, the Champions Cup, uh like if we take into consideration that, for example, Europe has their Champions League, I know it's not the same thing, but it's a continental competition that it's at the end of the day the best of the continent. So at least in my opinion, although we're not in a federation that people thought that wasn't competitive, which Rayados kind of showed, uh, unfortunately, Inter de Miami was up there. I'm not gonna say that they were doing good. They lost 4-0 against PSG. I'm happy with that, but it's now with this format, they made it so that competition is entertaining for people to watch it, and at the end of the day, the views is what makes it important. So previously, we were seeing games in like Saudi Arabia, Japan, where like you had to wake up at 2, 3 in the morning to watch just Rayados or just the other teams that went on to those competitions. But now with the wider formats and more teams, you gotta secure your spot every single year that it's gonna be made. You gotta at least win CONCACAF ones and at least always stay competitive like throughout the 4 year process that is going to be getting to the Club World Cup again. Because nobody's going to give us that 20 million the Rayados won in the league. You have to win about 5 leagues, 5 Liga MX, or like
Way
six.
more.
No
Oh my
anymore.
God.
Even
Two
Concacaf
hundred
is
thousand, two
yeah.
hundred
You're
thousand
not getting
dollars.
that. Yeah, I think Concacaf is like 5 million only.
Yeah.
League's Cup is
Yeah,
5 million
CONCACAF.
only.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
That's a
no,
lot
you're
for
not.
these
You're not
clubs.
making that money in like 1 year. You're not making
Yeah.
that type of money in
Yeah.
1 year.
Nope.
So it's really important. And we showed that we can go on and do good things as a club. At least I'm gonna talk in Rayado's perspective because we don't know how the other teams are gonna pair up against like European teams or Asian teams, but uh at the end of the day, at least we represented well. We left a good image. I think that we came out as the good guys because we got robbed against Dortmund. I'm not gonna say that that penalty was gonna give us a win, but at least it would have given us a chance of at least trying to see uh like the semifinals, which would have been no, was it quarterfinals or semifinals? Quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, because they would have
Yeah,
advanced and they would have whoever would have faced Real Madrid.
Real Madrid. Well, at the end of the day, we knew we weren't gonna do anything against Real Madrid, so it's just cutting our profits early. But I felt like yes, the team itself was pretty good. I feel like the game against Dortmund, Rayados at least did the changes, did the substitutions until they needed to. Because if we're being honest, we like you said, we didn't have anything on the bench that could have improved. And at least Dominic Torrent, which I mean, the first games that he has ever had as a Rayados coach, he knew when the games stopped playing for Rayados, and at that moment he did the switch, and we started attacking again. No goal, but at least give it that refreshing after the 75 minute, and we still created, but we couldn't do anything about it because we didn't have no striker. But I feel like we have to qualify every single year. If not, like yeah, I feel like that 4 year period now is gonna get wasted. Like I don't care if I win 3 different leagues. If I didn't qualify, I feel like what was the whole point?
It's America not qualified. They won. I mean,
they have the game.
I think I think if you didn't I think on Twitter some people were asking like would they give up one league title to be in this competition, or like would they give up 2 of the 3 league titles to be in this competition? And I would feel like they would, because the amount of money that you make, the amount of publicity that you get from being part of this competition, it's just like no other. It's like there's nothing can replicate it in the league. It's not replicable.
And America will actually like get the tickets sold out. We know it.
Yeah.
Like all of the games. You can imagine them facing like Chelsea and all that. It's like, dude, you had one job.
Yeah, and they just and it's a LAFC. They didn't do anything in the competition, and then not to mention Pachuca. If you want to go back to when they lost to Pachuca, last year, in CONCACAF. But what's before I go to Zamira, Fernando, what's one thing that it just doesn't have to be Monterrey, but what's one thing that you kind of like this tournament opened your eyes to? Because I think a lot of people are realizing that Brazilian football and like the rest, and when it comes to like the Americas, it's like there's a big gap. There's like but then you realize that like you got Liga MX, and then it's a bigger gap because the Argentinian clubs couldn't do anything. Like they Boca Juniors tied to a semi-professional team. River Plate really did. I mean, outside of the game against Royal Red Diamonds, they didn't do anything, and Monterrey just was better at them drawing against River Plate. I mean, drawing against Inter Milan. They kept a clean sheet against Royal Red Diamonds, and then they just they were able to salvage a point. And to me, I think Monterrey should have. If Monterrey actually like built a better team, I think they would have beaten River Plate. But that's just my opinion. But what's one thing that you kind of take away from this tournament, whether it's Monterrey related or something else? Because like I said, this tournament is just. It was just something completely different.
Out of this world.
The only thing I'm gonna say is the gap from European football to the football we play over here is closer every single day. At least North America is being represented by like Liga MX, and South America is being represented by like Brazilian clubs, because like what Botafogo did, what we did against River, what we did, it was a pretty good game against Dortmund, but it could have been better. We had possibilities of actually tying the game and going to extra times. And every single Brazilian club did an amazing job. And unfortunately, like Pachuca didn't show up. But I feel like
once they hired Jimmy Lozano, I was like, they're not going to do anything. I know people are like saying they're saying like, oh, Pachuca, like a lot of people are like, hey, look at all these signings that they did. It didn't work for anything. But it all cancels out when you hire Jimmy Lozano. Like, it cancels out. Like, you can't. That guy was like he was playing against Real Madrid, and he was up a man, and Real Madrid just completely tortured. So go ahead.
Also, as an institution, if you have a player, in this example, I'm gonna give the Osa that spot. If you have a player like the Osa that just in CONCACAF alone, you could have sold for around 8 to 10 million, given a good profit. Tournaments like this one make the world talk, and now has the Osa, if we're being honest, in a good position where we can almost make 16 to 18.
They paid Pachuca 6 million or something like that. I read, or something like that, 6-7 million, and I wouldn't sell the Osa anywhere that's not like close to 20 million. I wouldn't sell them. That's anywhere close to 20 million. Granted, take this source if you want to believe it or not, but Willie Gonzalez said that the Osa has a 20 million release clause, and that Berterame has a 9 million release clause, which for me,
trigger it.
It means that his extension that he signed this year, I think it was, or was it last year, lowered it because it was 15 million, because that's what Cincinnati was willing to pay, and that was what Portland was willing to. Yeah, those two teams were willing to pay. So I'm assuming that extension lowered the release clause. But yeah, yeah, you're right. You're completely right because the Osa stock blew up. It, like especially like I would say the River Plate game. It just it like it just blew up
Blew him
after the
up.
River
Yeah.
Plate game. And then the
Plus,
way he played
we're
against.
getting.
Then he had this spectacular goal against Royal Red
Yeah,
Diamonds, and then it just got, and he was like really good against Dortmund, and it was just like right now his stock is really really high. So like, and he's 25. To me, and we can get into this a little bit later when we talk about the transfer stuff, but it's like now Monterrey's in a position where like obviously you want to get closer to the release clause, but at the same time it's like you don't want to keep and it's like that balance where it's like, do you want to keep an unhappy player, right? And we'll get into that a little bit
yeah.
later once we talk transfer windows. But now we're Monterrey's in that spot where it's like your player is at an all-time high. The only teams in in the Americas that are going to give you 20 million are the Brazilian teams. There's no way. I know some people said River Plate, and they did get some money from Real Madrid when they got
No.
Mastantuono or
Mastantuono,
Haria, but they've already wasted 8 million on Maxi Salas. They're I think they're trying to buy the Colombian from Talleres, and that's like 4 million that they're trying to cost them. So they waste, and Real Madrid's giving them the money in payments. It's like 20 million
Yeah,
hit
I
this
think
year.
they gave him like 12 million
It's no, it's
first.
20 million. It's 20 million this year, 12 million or 12 and a half next year, and then 12 and a half in 2027. So it's like every year we'll
Mhm.
give you some, but this is the most they'll have. And
No, we
I am
spent
not a
everything.
fan. If somebody wants the Osa, I'm not doing payments. You got to
Yeah,
give me the entire
no.
money, and I don't believe River Plate is going to do that.
And
I don't.
Rayados is not for that.
Yeah,
Plus,
and
it's not
No.
that much.
I only see a Brazilian team because the Brazilian team can just pull out a freaking youth product and sell it for like 20 million to a European team, and it's like here's your money, and that's the only
Someone
way.
like Palmeiras selling Estevao, getting that money in. Somebody like
They could sell
Botafogo
Richard
is gonna
Rios. They
sell.
could sell Richard Rios. Flamengo's getting a shit ton of money for Jerson, but now they're trying to get Carrascal from Moscow. So it's like Brazilian teams are like also, and then you got Fluminense who has a shit ton of like 60 million. They made 60 million just in that tournament. By reaching the semifinals, they have a lot of money. But going back to what we were saying, Samira, where do you, how do you wrap up this tournament? What are your takeaways? And then what's one like takeaway overall from this tournament that maybe like you weren't aware of that kind of opened up your eyes? Because yeah, this like I said, this tournament was just it's just a different experience. And I know people want to blame like the attendance for some of these games, but then it's like not many people are going to go watch a Sundowns game against a Korean team. It's just, it is what it is. Some of these games just not going to have that. But then you have like for a midday game, you had the Aurora Red Diamonds against River Plate, and I believe that the fucking Japanese team or the Japanese fans were just as loud as the River Plate fans, But stuff like that. But what's your overall takeaway from this competition? What not just from a Monterrey perspective, but just overall perspective.
Like overall, I really can't think of something that I could complain, honestly, because it really. I mean, I know it might be. It sounds stupid because it really surpasses everyone expectations, but I never imagined that it would be that way. And exact like talking about Rayados specifically, honestly, I was so proud of them. Like the way that they actually stood on the pitch and have the respect from everyone. I mean, we gotta honestly, we have it's 100% because of Sergio Ramos, because of how he leveled up and how he was like, you're not gonna treat us like we cannot like play the same level. And I guess just like that game against Inter de Milan really like break that fear from all of the teams, not just in our group and against them, but like the other teams. It's like, dude, if they're willing, like if you're willing to play against a European team, like it was the semifinal. Well, it was the finalists and like second place for the Champions League. Of course, we were expecting to lose that game against River. We were expecting a tie, and against Urawa, we were expecting a win. But a lot of people were even concerned about Urawa and having the first game against Inter de Milan, breaking all the like. You literally break the ice. You literally deleted every kind of concern you could have had as a player. Like, what if I'm not enough? What if we're like they're gonna have a different attitude? However, the referee was gonna consider. So I guess it was like really breaking all of like those thoughts that we could have imagined at the moment when we pictured this kind of format, this whole thing. And after seeing how Copa America last year was handled here in the US, it's like I didn't I couldn't imagine that it was gonna be that well handled. And it was honestly, it was really, really, really good how they planned it, the games and everything for Rayados, because they had the 3 games at home, because we had the people there. Even though against Urawa, I mean, it was their case, we had to go back because we couldn't stay like 2 weeks. But other than that, it was amazing. It was really like my heart was so full seeing that many people there, because I went to the Leagues Cup game against LAFC, same at the Rose Bowl, and it was, I mean, it was just half of the
Yeah,
stadium, and seeing it like it was a lot of people. So it was like it was really, really nice to see
I
Rayados in that tournament,
I would
honestly.
prefer, like, the one issue that I did have was like them putting it in states or cities where you have like electric like you have thunder, and then you have like
But yeah.
the yeah, that was my only issue. I really wish if they were going to be putting it in some of these cities, they would have just put it indoors, like you had Atlanta. um I don't know. I don't. I think Dallas was occupied by Gold Cup. I really wish FIFA would have just told CONCACAF, do your tournament every 4 years. Leave this. Let me pick whatever cities that I want. Um, but that was it. That was the only issue. It's just like the thunderstorm, and it's just like people are realizing that you know cities in different parts of the U.S. It's just completely different than
There weren't any games in Vegas for the Club World Cup, right?
no, because
So
they
they
were the Gold Cup went on there.
Instead of doing Seattle, they should have done like
Well, it's because
Vegas.
Vegas
Seattle qualified for the competition, so that's why.
didn't
But
even do anything.
even Seattle, but like the weather was fine. Like to me, it's like why were you holding it in Nashville? I get Florida because like a lot of Brazilians live in Florida, so I understood that, and a lot of
Yeah,
Argentinians live there too. I understand New York, Philly,
New Jersey.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just feel like just for the stadium.
Philly, yeah. Well, I think Philly is because of the distance between from you, because you can actually take a train from Philly to like New York. So I
Mhm.
guess for travel, but the ones that didn't make sense to me were like Nashville. Um, yeah, I think that was the only one. Nashville was like the only random one. Like, why are you holding it in Nashville? Um,
But I mean,
but
they knew that each group had like a European team everyone would like to go, and I think that's why I like the way that they actually made the groups and everything. Like
yeah,
this format, it has to stay like this because
yeah, I would prefer this format because even the
Yeah,
European team isn't like guaranteed like to advance because Inter Milan had to battle because Red Diamonds even had them down 1-0, and if it
yeah,
wasn't for uh like just Inter Milan having more talent than Red Diamonds, then they would have lost, or they would have at least drawn and dropped points because that would have favored, because it took a goal in stoppage time for them to beat them. So it's like just because you're a top European team doesn't even get, you're not like guaranteed to like advance, because even Real Madrid dropped points against Al Hilal. Um, been Bayern Munich finished second. Like, they
that's
almost they almost I think just because they had more talent, they were able to advance past beat Boca Juniors. Um, Porto embarrassed themselves, and they got Anselmi fired. Uh, yeah, so it's like not even like
got him
the
so
top
fired.
European teams like they're not even like guaranteed like to advance. I mean, PSG lost to Botafogo. Atletico Madrid, they were supposed to advance, but they lost to PSG, and they they barely beat Seattle too. Like they didn't have like a good performance against Seattle, and then they barely beat Botafogo. And then they just got eliminated by, I think, was it I don't know what tiebreaker they used, but anyways, so it's like back to what I was saying. It's just if you're a top European team, you're not even like guaranteed to advance. So I like that. I like this format.
One of the things you mentioned that I feel like they should fix is those tiebreakers. I'm sorry, but you have to have a handbook by your side to actually read the table because it's difficult.
Yeah.
Like, just either if you won against the team or not gives you priority. If you tied, just go difference. That's
goal
it.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, because yeah, but I it was kind of like I said, it was nice when you had like the Monterrey game and the Inter Milan, like when they were looking
At the
back and
same
forth.
time.
I always like those things, especially when there's like stuff on the line like that.
I think Gallardo complained about that.
Yeah, no, he said that no, because they showed the Monterrey score on the scoreboard or whatever, and he said that
the big screen,
it was like giving his team anxiety. I'm like, you're professionals. If that gives you anxiety, then
that's why they
go
left.
score goals, or whatever. But like you look at River Plate, like to me, like I said, if Monterrey would have just built a better team, they would have been in River Plate, because River Plate really doesn't have anything. Like you look at their foreign players, none of them you would say like I'd take them at Monterrey. Like you wouldn't take Borja, you wouldn't take Castaño. I'm just talking about like their foreign players. Obviously, if you want one of the Argentines, that's a different story. But I'm just talking about like the foreign players that they attract. I would not take any of them.
And I mean, at the end of the day, we were really complaining about not having like a strong defense. And with these games, we actually noticed that thanks to Torrent, we actually did a great job on a defense, and he actually knew how to use them. The problem is like when you're attacking, it has to be like the perfect assist for Berterame or unlucky situation for the other team. Because I mean,
and Canales didn't have a really good tournament. I mean, let's call it spade a spade. It wasn't his best tournament. He didn't start. He didn't start against Royal Red Diamonds. It was
like whatever. Like what was most like we were really close. We were like row 3, and we were really close to seeing Berterame against, I think it was against River Plate, that we were actually like really desperate. That dude, you're not getting the ball there. Just try and do something. And he was not even making that effort. I would even say like El Buffalo or somebody else could do more, just because it's not that they're not giving it to you. It's you got to understand. And as a player, you have to adjust and not just wait. Like you have to like do some defense work, do some, get some pressure on. And he was not even like doing that pressure. And even if you're not like doing like, I don't want you to take the like be chupete and take the ball from half of it and just go score. I'm not expecting that for you, but at least go make that pressure, because you have players and you're like behind you. You have Canales, you have De Osa, that they can actually score from outside of the box. So that's the part that it's like, dude, you're like, everyone's looking at you right now. Everyone's gonna talk about this. At least try. And I think that was the most against River Plate specifically. That was like the most desperate moment. That it's like, dude, we have everything on the back. Like Arteaga, he gave everything. Sergio Ramos, like you could have tell, because you have Mastantuono in one of the best moments that everyone's talking about him, that it's going to Real Madrid, and everyone was going to look at him, and you have this player step up and actually do something. That's what I would expected from like, Berterame or something.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and you got it from Andrada too, because I was thinking, like,
oh yeah, the best games I've ever seen in that guy.
I would have.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I would have expected against River Plate. Like that was like my most, because it's like his worst moment as I don't know if you want to say his worst moment as a professional, but certainly the worst moment as he's been part of a team came against that club. So I was thinking, it, well, is like flashbacks to like them losing or him losing to River Plate in Madrid. Is that gonna pop up? But it didn't. Dude looked great. Um, and yeah, I mean, at the very end, he gets to at least leave with his with his head held high. That's all he can do. Now it's all about trying to
It's
secure a sum for him. But
it's insulting because at the same time, why do you wait until these games to actually play like that
Exactly.
when you just? I'm
I
sorry,
mean,
it looks
it's
pretty
a lot of
natural.
these players. You're wondering why can't you play like that every weekend and week out? I mean, you see what Arteaga, like the guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like his defending. It's like dude is just napping. But then you
Yeah,
look at him play against River Plate, and it's just like, why can't you do that week in and week out?
And that's what
Uh,
you're asking now for them to play for CONCACAF and actually win a ticket for the next World Cup. So that's what we're expecting, seeing that kind of level for CONCACAF. And if you play like that, you have a really high possibility to actually win and get the ticket.
yeah,
And now that you know how important it is, you have
to
time to
me,
actually build a team around that because you know it's gonna be the time of even for like higher level from Rayados, it's like you can make a lot of money from that. So
yeah, yeah. No, I think you have to when it comes to Concacaf, and we can transition unless you guys have anything else you want to say about the Club World Cup. When it comes to building a team, to me, next year you're not taking a C plus team or a B team to play Vancouver anymore. You're not doing that anymore
no,
because you can't fuck around and waste an opportunity like Demichelis did, where he took a B team or whatever you want to call it to that game against Vancouver. And then I don't
I mean
I would
to
like to
be
think Torrent it doesn't do that because now to me the league should be backup to
yeah.
CONCACAF now. It's not like put as long as you're alive in CONCACAF, your A team, your starters should be prioritizing. Obviously you
Okay.
want to build a team for both tournaments, but the priority until you win CONCACAF, that should be your priority. I don't know if you guys
yeah,
think.
because I mean, honestly, the format for Liga MX, it's like you can do a boring tournament and just like make a good job at the league, and that's it. Like make sure you qualify, make sure you have, um, you're like good in the top four, even though you're like winning just by one goal, and you're not like pushing your players to 100%, so you can put that effort into Concacaf. But I mean, it's sad that Liga MX format actually would allow you to put priority on CONCACAF and hold like just make sure you don't lose stupid points like we did with Demicheli. So yeah, it's not that hard. Shouldn't be.
Anything else you guys want to add for the Club World Cup before we move on?
Uh, the only thing is Ocampo should be out with the performance that he
Uh,
did in the World Cup. We can go over
okay,
to
let's just
yeah.
transition over to okay, let's get into we'll mix in Leagues Cup with the transfer stuff. Um, so Liga MX starts this week. We're recording on July 7th. Um, yeah,
Finally
it
back.
starts this week, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
13th, I
Yeah.
think
First day.
Sunday against
Okay,
Pachuca.
and then we have Leagues Cup starting at the end of this month, which is a dead. You go from playing Club World Cup to like Leagues Cup at the end of this. At the end of or close to the end of this month. I think Monterrey have. I know the two MLS teams. I don't know what Liga MX team they have, or do they have a Liga MX team? I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so.
They have FC Cincinnati
Cincinnati.
and New York Red Bulls.
Hmm.
And the Red Bulls game, they're playing it in Cincinnati. I don't understand why the hell they're doing that. Just
What?
I don't know. It's weird. They're doing this thing weird, and it's during the season isn't going to stop, which I'm fine with. Uh, and to me, all
Take
those
all the B
games, the
teams.
games against FC Cincinnati, RB Leipzig, New York Red Bulls, those damn fucking Red Bull teams. Uh, uh, to me, it should be nothing but youth players and backups, and let these guys fight for like the backup jobs.
Get
Because
minutes, get experience.
you need to start to figure out, especially when you go into the next tournament where you have two competitions, you have to start figuring out, okay, who's my backup, or who am I throwing in um, if somebody gets hurt, or if I need offense, off the bench. Because I'm sorry, Roberto De La Rosa can't be like I don't even know if he's gonna stay or not, but he can't be he can't be your like go-to guy to get somebody off the bench.
No.
And we'll talk
Yeah.
about the transfer stuff, but to me, look, Joaquin Mojica, the kid, is already registered.
Mm-hmm.
To me, you should let him fight for a starting. You should let him fight for one of the backup jobs to see if he can score against MLS defending. To me, you should give uh, Aldo Dominguez Jr. some minutes to see if he can score against MLS defending, and start to figure out like, okay, just because De La Rosa's older, just because Platano Alvarado's older, shouldn't be it shouldn't be mean, or it shouldn't mean that they get automatic the
Yeah.
backup job. To me,
Yeah.
everybody needs to fight for their job. If you lose your job to a 17-year-old or to a 19-year-old, that's your fault.
It's your fault.
Uh, and I think, to me, it's start to figure out, okay, what's my depth, who can I count on, because to me, Leagues Cup, Monterrey already they're going to play in CONCACAF next year, so like that's the only thing that matters from Leagues Cup to me. Monterrey didn't have like if they weren't playing in CONCACAF next year, then it'll be a different story, and you'd have to take it seriously, especially now that we know how important CONCACAF is. But they already
Yeah.
have that, and so to me, it should be nothing but backups and youth players, because all your players that are 30 and older shouldn't see games in this. You shouldn't risk them. There's no need to risk them. Play the young players. Play the players that you want to like see if you know like can Cortizo beat out a young player or whatever. You have to start seeing who you can count on if you need something off the bench, or if somebody gets injured, and you have a lot of older players. So I don't want to say injuries are going to happen, but I mean, we saw it last year. You know Ramos get hurt. Um,
Canales.
it's like a lot of these players. That's why I said none of them should be playing in Leagues Cup, because there's no need to risk them. Play all your young players and backups and let them fight out for starting. Fight for minutes and fight for these backup jobs that you need in case somebody gets hurt, or you can just need somebody off the bench. But before we get into the transfer stuff, what's your guys' take on Leagues Cup? I don't think anybody's going to take it seriously. The only thing I want to see is just how some of these young players play, and can some of these uh, backups, keep their backup job, or if they lose it to another young player. But what's your overall thoughts just heading into Leagues Cup? Now that that's coming up along with the season, um, because now you have to juggle two competitions to start the season. I'll go, Zamira, if you want to start first.
I mean, I honestly, like everyone said before, I think the Leagues Cup, it's literally like doing the Copa MX. I think it would be like the same level of like in importance you would give. Maybe just because of the pride of being against MLS teams and like Liga MX, you can have like more motivation coming from the players. So it's literally playing at Copa MX that you knew it was gonna see the young kids play and see if they can level up or see how they play. Because I mean they might be good like training and all that. But once you get them into the pitch, you got to make sure that even though they're young, they have what it takes to actually play against like big teams, and make sure you get that like the spot to be, on the bench on
Yeah,
for
because
the
it goes. It's different.
kids. But
It's different playing youth players, or it's different. When you're someone like Mojica or maybe Aldo Benitez or
Yeah.
Alda here Venezuela, where you're playing against like players your age, then going up against playing. Granted MLS, isn't like you know
Prime Europe.
it's not known for, so you're playing against you're a teenager playing against a 29-year-old or 28. You're
yeah,
different age, different bodies, different everything, and so now you're tasked with like, can I beat, can I score against this, right? Or can I dribble past this, or can I position myself to get myself into scoring opportunity to score, and beat a goalkeeper that's in his mid 30s or something like that. So it's just completely different, and that's why I kind of want to see some of these kids play against some of these adults, right? Because we saw it last or earlier this year with the Valenzuela kid. He played really well against shit. I
Querétaro.
forget their name. The, the Canadian Premier League.
Forge.
Forge.
Force. There you go. Like he
Yeah,
played good. He played well in that second leg. You know,
yeah.
and so it's like, okay, and to me, if they show signs that they can play, keep them with the first team and start rolling them out. Like there's no, to me, it would be a disservice if they play well against MLS defending, and then you're like, nope, you're going back to like playing against players your age,
And
right?
they're
Because you've
young. If
already
they
shown,
mess up, if they really have to mess up in this
yeah,
tournament,
no, and I would
mess up
still play.
here.
I would still want them to play
Exactly.
Yeah.
because let them learn from that. Because like I said,
Mhm.
to me, that tournament should be how how far Monterrey goes should be on the backups and whatever youth players play. Like however far they go should be on them. Like
And
the starters,
a team
just
like Rayados having backup players, they should actually get like really far into the tournament. That's what we're expecting.
yeah,
We're not gonna accept a B team
or
lose
else it
against,
raises or else it raises the question like why are these players on the team? Like you kind of saw it
Mhm.
last year
Yeah.
against Vancouver in that first leg, where it's like Jordi Costizo really didn't do anything. It's like why is he? It's like
Just the
you get
free
these
kick, and that was it.
opportunities. You get these opportunities. You should run away with them and show like you can be counted on when we need you, right? Or when the club needs you, or when the
I'm
team
not a
needs you,
fan
or
of
whatever.
Jordi Cortizo
Yeah.
anymore.
um,
Especially he was mean to us when we were taking pictures. He literally ignored us and was like, "Dude, you're not even the best player, so get out of here." I don't like him.
uh, eh, let's go. Let's move into the transfer stuff because it's already there. Like the season's about to start. Um, there's already one transfer. You got Mele, who is going to be the number one starter. Uh, Uruguayan. They got him from Junior de Barranquilla. Uh, it slipped my mind, but so you already have your number one goalkeeper. Um, Now there's rumors that Monterrey have inquired about Pedro from Flamengo, who Torrent
Yes.
coached in his brief stint with Flamengo. So it's a player he knows.
And it has good.
Ocho Rodriguez is on Bayern, Boca Juniors' radar. Um, Obviously, we just talked about the Osa being, um, you know, uh, teams showing interest in him. Uh, who else? You got
Ambris,
Sanabria moving to
Ambris,
Monterrey.
you
You got
with
Ambris,
Juventus.
Juventus. There's like a lot
I
of
don't
teams.
even
There's like a lot
understand
of
that,
rumors.
but
Yeah, I don't even know what Juventus is doing
They
anymore.
see
I mean,
potential in the kid.
uh,
they
you
saw
know,
him playing with Leon.
no, they saw him play. I mean, he had a decent tournament. I think,
No,
Yeah, he did.
if we're
yeah,
being honest, he put a really good performance. I thought he was gonna mess up, and at the end of the day, for me, a six that you don't notice throughout the game is a good six.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And who else am I missing?
I
You
mean,
got
we're also
Sanabria. You
thinking
got Sanabria, Pedro.
uh,
Uh,
coming
uh,
in players. We haven't heard that much.
I'm not. I haven't read any like number five. Uh, if they let Corcho go.
I think even before the Club World Cup, they were talking about Dorado.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. So it looks like it's gonna be players that he knows, that Torrent knows. At least right now, it looks like if obviously it's a rumor, but it looks like he's gonna go for players, or at least he's asking for players, or
That
reportedly
he
asking for
knows.
players that he knows or has coached.
And that has to be a
Um,
good sign. Like if he knows how they play, he knows that they
Can fit.
would adjust to the team well
and
and not wait to see like if they actually fit in. So
yeah, there's no. It's not like the case where it's like you get a player before the manager and you don't even know if
yeah,
he's gonna. At least it's a manager that you know that he knows, and he knows what they bring, right? And
it's
he
a
knows
plus.
where to put them.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
good that it appears that at least uh the sporting directors are starting to take a little bit more into consideration our manager for the transfers, because you could tell with Tano and the Michelis that the club was only going for transfers that were good in a media perspective for us. And now, at least this transfer window, I feel that that need to do that signing was with Mele, because it's the only player that Dome has not played with. But all the other ones are at least players that have played with them. Or, I mean, so far that's practically it, because we haven't heard much about the transfer signings that
no,
are
no,
potential.
and it's been, like I said, it's just been Sanabria, Pedro, and Durado, um, and all players that he's played or that he's coached. So it's not like you know, it's not. It hasn't been something random um, so far. I think the Spaniard from Getafe was another one, but it's obviously like
Oh yeah.
yeah. So it's another Spaniard. So it's like, and that's it. That's been pretty much it. But let's talk about, okay, before we get into the arrivals. Let's talk about the departures. Obviously, you need to free up some foreign spots. To me, it looks like Ocho's out. It looks like he's gone. Andrada's gone. Obviously, he has to go
Yeah.
to make room for Mele. But then it's like you get into the complicated. Like, okay, what are you gonna do with Stefan? What are you gonna? It looks like they're gonna give Ocampos this tournament.
This
To
better be the last one.
It's
figure it out.
it's after Andrada, I feel like it's
And
the player that should get the least chances.
yeah,
Because
but
yeah,
it's like, okay, because if you're gonna go for foreign players or for a couple of foreign players, you need to free up some spots. And you know, what do you do with Berterame? You know, if he does have a $9 million release clause, I'm pretty sure somebody can trigger. At least an MLS team can trigger it. Um, after that, it's like you're kind of like really starting to like. That's when you kind of have to make some tough decisions. I mean, Carlos Salcedo should be back, but
I
you
forgot
know,
about that.
he,
He should be back. I think he's already like
he's a right-footed
with them.
center back, and I don't know what Thorin wants to play yet. If he's gonna go four at the back, I don't know if he'll go five at the back, or three at the back, three center backs, and then have like
The 3-5-2.
active fullbacks. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's his, or if he's just gonna go like, it's just gonna depend on the opponent.
Yeah.
Because I think Sanabria would be like a luxury. I do think they need somebody to push Arteaga. I don't think Puesto Reyes is that guy. I mean, at 30, I think he's 34 now. I think he's either 34 or he's gonna turn 34. So it's like,
He's in
he's
a
a
good
good
shape,
backup
but he's
player.
still like slow.
yeah. And
Like
so you
if
bring
you're
in
competing
Sanabria,
against
who is
fast.
younger than, I think he's younger than Arteaga. He does have some leadership. He's served as captain for San Luis, and it's just some, and then like we talked about earlier, is Arteaga going to give you what he did against River Plate week in and week out? And I think if he has someone like Sanabria, it's like, okay, you have to, or else you're going to write the bench, because they brought somebody that's, I think, younger than you, or at the very least entering his prime. He's already been called up for the Uruguayan national team. So it's not like it's not a Wessel Reyes situation where it's just an older player. Um, and you can maybe have that comfortability where it's like, this guy's out of his prime now. I should be able to keep my job. But if you bring in someone like Sanabria, that's a different story. I don't know what they're going to do in the midfield because if they also leaves, and that opens up a foreign spot. But then it's like, okay, how do you replace him?
It's no.
How are you going to replace Scorcho? Are you going to go with a foreign player like Durao, or are you going to look for a Mexican player?
I mean, if Lira is the other one that was.
Yeah. But I don't know if Cruz Azul, Cruz Azul has a shit ton of money, so it's like, it's not like he's he's playing for a team that's lacking money, right? They're gonna get Jovic, or looks like they're gonna get Jovic. They burned money on Yakumakis. They spent 10 million, didn't work out there. They're gonna spend whatever wage they're gonna get Jovic, but obviously he's not, just because he comes quote unquote free, you still gotta pay him a shit ton of money for like a salary. So it's not like he's coming for free.
I mean, practically he was kicked out of Milan, so
but I mean,
but still,
it's you get a it's one thing to be like not good enough for like one of the top teams in Europe, and it's another thing like dropping like multiple levels to come to Liga MX. Like you're not even coming to the best league in the Americas. So let's see if it works out for them. But yeah, the Lira one, it would be interesting. But like I said, that one, he would have to like force the move, because like I said, Cruz Azul isn't lacking money. I don't think Marcel Ruiz is leaving Toluca, or at least if he leaves, it's not from Monterrey. Like some of these players, I know some people are like making like Marcel Ruiz and Lira. Obviously, you want those players, but you also have to think like logically, like these aren't you're not buying from Pumas who need money, or from another team that's like from Pachuca who like doesn't give a shit and they'll sell if you pay their price, right? These are they have some money, even though Cruz Azul is homeless, they still have money. But let's go to the number 9, because that's the most important position. You need somebody that's going to score you goals, somebody that's going to be consistent in scoring you goals, and to me, the most frustrating thing about Bertrame is like he's never in the area when I'm seeing somebody like you're preparing to cross, Bertrame is outside the area, and it's like, dude, you need to be inside the box, ready for the header. So I want somebody who has like that presence in the box, who can hold up play a little bit. I would like a 10 times better version of Rogelio Funes Mori, and I think they can get that. Pedro has scored for Flamengo. To me, arguably the most popular club in the Americas. I mean, it's Flamengo, Boca Juniors, and River Plate. But right now, if you're looking at the Argentinian teams, they don't have the demand that it is, the Brazilian, or the pressure that Brazilian teams have. I don't. It was reported that Monterrey would pay 11 million, but Flamengo want 15 million, and I believe Zenit from Russia is also interested in him. I saw a report. So you're gonna have to. You have to convince them not to go to Russia.
After the performance we had, if we're being honest, players now have to think that, okay, maybe with Rayados, I can earn a spot to go to the Club World Cup. Because in Russia, you're just gonna go to Russia and get stuck there.
You're not playing. You're not playing Europe. You're not playing. At least right now, you're not playing European competitions unless that changes in the next few years. But yeah, Pedro's coming off knee injury. So that's the only concerning part. But I mean, and he's in his prime. He's 28. I don't know why I saw some Monterrey fans say he was old. I'm like, he's 28. Like, you can get 4 or 5 years out of him.
A good 5 years.
Yeah, you can get that out of him. I do agree that he's a little bit slower. That's why he didn't work out in Europe. But obviously, if you get a player that doesn't work out in Europe but plays well in Brazil, I would take that 10 times out of 10. Than
Yeah.
going for like Rodrigo Aguirre who does a lot of Necaxa, right? Um,
I mean,
but
in
yeah,
surrounding him by the correct players, you can
hmm
get him to fit his style.
Yeah.
And if Torrent is actually getting him, I feel like it's because he knows that he can at least structure around having a good number nine that is at least gonna act as a post, as a false nine, to go off at least Ocampos, to go off Tecatito, to go off the Osa, to go
hmm
off. I'm not gonna say Ocampos. He's not. I wish perfect scenario. I wish that Ocampos got transferred out and we took but I'm sorry, Johan out of a loan, because the first game he comes back against Chivas, he scores a banger,
Yeah.
which Ocampos hasn't done in a year and a half.
yeah,
Not a year and a half, a season and a half.
yeah.
I don't know how long.
For you guys, what's the priority? As we wrap up, like for me, it's number 9.
Yep.
Number 5, I would go a speedy winger because we don't. Monterrey doesn't have that much speed. Like
Mhm.
Tecatito can give you burst, but again, he is over 30. Not a
What
lot
a
of not a
World
lot
Cup did he have?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no, he was great. He was
What a
great. He was great.
performance!
Yeah, no, we didn't talk about that. No, Tecatito
And I
is
was
back,
still and I
and
was still keep
I know people
Tecate.
are complaining, are not complaining, but like comparing. Maybe if Ocampos can be like Tecatito, but the difference is one is occupying a foreign spot and the other one is Mexican.
Yeah,
So you can be a little bit more patient with the Mexican than you can with the foreigner because you need results right away, or else, especially if he's earning a big salary too, you need those
Yeah.
results. But yeah, like I was saying, Tecatito can give you bursts. Like in moments, he can give you speed. But
We can
after
still
that,
have it for the last 15 minutes and he's gonna do more than whoever you bring.
yeah. But to me, it's like for example, going back to what Torrent had at San Luis, he had Vitinho, and we saw Vitinho's speed kind of like hit Monterrey like multiple times.
yeah.
He got Monterrey just because you know you need somebody that's fast and going to like either take advantage of slow defenders, which I think if we had like somebody with speed, they would have taken advantage of Dortmund because the Dortmund defenders are really slow.
Yeah.
And so
Everyone
I think
except Meyerson.
yeah, I think you need to bring in somebody that can take advantage of slow defenders, and then if you catch somebody out of position, if you catch the defense out of position, and then like if
The
you were to
problem
bring in,
is we already have him. He's just out on loan. And
I
I
don't
don't
know.
understand why we're still using the foreign spot for Campos when there's a kid that, I'm sorry, is currently best friends with one of your best players, is gonna have that chemistry inside of the pitch, and we've seen it also play with Canales, and at least he has a good finish on the left, which right now we don't have any players for.
But if you have Ocampos at 100%, he would offer you more than Johan. So this is what that's
This
what
is what
they're
they're
betting
betting on.
for.
They're betting
This
on.
is
They're betting on that
this
they're
is
gonna that
exactly
they're going to
like
rescue him.
if
But
this is the last season, you can make sure that if you're gonna have a player like him getting that big of a check, if you're not working, you're out. But they need to
I
make
mean,
money
it
from
should
it
be a
because
wake
it's
up call that
expensive.
he didn't start against Dortmund. Like it should be a wake up call like he didn't start because you would think the amount of money you're investing in him
Yep.
or you're spending on him or
He was
paying him,
supposed to
they're
play
paying him.
on this
You
game.
would think that they would start him against Dortmund. Um, so yeah, it's going to be yeah. I think to me this is his last. To me, it
The
looks like it
ultimatum
would
for
be his last
Ocampo.
ultimate. Yeah, it's going to be you either figure it out now or you're gone because you can't waste a foreign. They can't waste a foreign spot on somebody that's not producing, and you're paying them a lot of money to do so. But let's start with you, Fernando. What are your like needs that they need to address this summer? Um, because like I said, as much as I like Sanabria, it would be like signing Deosa last transfer window where you didn't need the midfielder, but now you're looking at it. Okay, it worked out, but you're
Hmm.
still lacking the number 9. You're still lacking that number or that consistent number 5. I don't know if Corcho's, I'm gonna assume Corcho's leaving. I don't know what's gonna happen with Ambris. So you know, where what are your what are the positions that you really want Monterrey to address before the summer transfer window closes?
For me, it's number 9 first. We need somebody that is at least gonna stay competitive with Bertrame and at least push him. So number 9 is you have to sign one this transfer window. Then for me, it's out on the left wing, like preferably somebody that is gonna make Ocampos at least wake up. Because if we're being honest, if at least Johan was on the bench, he would at least turn out to be a little bit more competitive. He doesn't have that competition right now, and he's not even starting. Then I would go for a right back because although I love Stefan Medina, he's my favorite player. I got his signature on that shirt, which is a Stefan Medina shirt. I love him. I want him to retire in Rayados, but he's coming up there. So, to me, with Salcedo coming back, yes, you can adapt someone like Tony Leone to be your youngster that is going to play on the right back, but still, Eric Aguirre is always injured. Stefan Medina is
Older.
going to start being a little bit
It's
more
not that
injury prone,
fast. Let's leave it
and
like
He's
he's not
older.
that fast.
At some point, age catches up to you.
Yep.
So, just getting those 3 positions for me at least are what's going to make Monterrey solid. I am a big backer of Corcho. We love him in this house, and
Well,
he's
it
one of
looks
the
like you're
best.
gonna be disappointed.
He's one of the best center defenses midfield in Liga MX. But for some reason, people are blinded that yes, he can have one mistake, and it affects the game because it's one of the most important positions that you play.
And
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
repeat it, and I'm gonna repeat it again. He started as a contención, and then you got the Michelis making experiments with him, and then you put him in the back, and he's gonna make the same passes that he was gonna do at the midfield. So he's now in the back. So if he mess up, that's gonna be messy, and that's what happened. So now, because of that, he lost trust in himself, and he's not playing like he used to. So everyone's mad about it just for one mistake. And Ocampos has been doing that mistake the whole season, and he's not being torture like that, but fine, continue.
but uh, yeah, I'm just going off of those 3: striker, left wing, and right back. That's everything we need. I don't feel like we need somebody else on the midfield. If we get somebody else, that would be perfect, but only as a precaution of maybe either
Well, I mean,
Ambris
if
or
He
Corcho's
has
Beosa.
to be
gone, if
Mexican.
Corcho's is obviously if you're gonna go for foreign players, you need to free up some foreign spots. And to me, if I were to pick 2 or 3 players, it would be Stefan and Corcho. And I don't know what's gonna happen with Eosa, so that's another one.
He's not
Um,
leaving this season.
He's not
so
leaving, yeah.
He's not leaving. I
it,
He's
think
gonna
this is gonna be his last tournament, and he's gonna make sure that he's gonna get a good deal on another team, like a good thing. Because if he takes a decision right now, he's gonna feel like he's rushing into it.
the only thing that Rayados need to do to keep the value that we currently have on him is win CONCACAF.
Yep.
And that's your strategy. You keep him for one more season and sell him at 20 at the end of it after winning your chance to go to the Club World Cup.
yeah.
That's what you do.
To me, it's the 4 players that have question marks just because of his reported. He has a $9 million release clause. It's Berterame, and I do not know how he will respond to competition. Some players will be like, "Okay, I'm good." Some players will be like, "You know what? I'd rather be starting. I don't want to fight for my position." You saw it with Luis Romo. Those players they're like, "You know what? I'll accept this offer and be an undisputed starter here." De Osa, you got Stefan and Corcho. I think those are the 4 foreign spots. And if you were to rank them, I would be Corcho, Stefan, and then it's like a big gap. And then you got Berterame and then De Osa, just because of their release clauses that you have no control
Andrada.
over. I mean, but you
He
already have
already got
Melec. Yeah.
Melec
So
got
like
his spot.
so it's like It's spotted
It's
there.
like even, yeah.
For you,
I know.
Samira, what positions are of need that you really want the club to address this summer, for them to fight for a league title? Because to me, this tournament is all eggs, marbles in the league. Because next tournament, you can't do that. You have to balance CONCACAF, and to me, it should be CONCACAF priority and then the league. But what are your positions that they
I
need to address
like
this
what's
summer?
top would be 9, definitely, because you now have a solid team, and you know that you can, if you have players like the Osa, like Canales in your midfield, and you don't have top players like on on top attacking as your 9. There's we're just waiting for individual performances, if that's the case, and we don't want that because we cannot be like depending on them every single game. So your striker, your job is to score goals. That's it. So we need a striker. Definitely. That's the most important one. If I think the story would be different if Berterame would have debuted with the Selección Mexicana, because he wouldn't be taking a spot, and that would be completely different story. But he's not. So he's getting that spot, and he's not doing anything. Like if he was Mexican, if he was not taking that spot, we would not be that tough with him because he still scores goals. He was still like top, I don't know, top 5, I don't know.
He
But
would have the same pressure as De La Rosa.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you need a striker that's not afraid and that can take responsibility of finishing what you are building from your back, and just literally finishing the place because you're doing a great job. Just finish it. Just finish it. That's it.
What are your other positions outside of the number 9 that
And
you need to
I
be addressed?
guess, yeah, I guess like right back, we need something because we cannot be just depending on Medina and
I
Aguirre
forgot
because
about Ricky Chavez.
Yeah,
they're both.
he didn't really. Did he get some minutes? I know he started
Yeah,
against.
He
he
started
played
against
against
Milan.
Inter and
No,
he started against River. Both games he did well. He got burned out by the half and got switched out.
he's good, but
Yeah,
it's
and
still
so
it's
it's like,
he's kind of slow too. So we need someone that is actually fast. Because
I feel
if Torrent's gonna play the line of 5 on the back, you can have a line of 3 and have your two, like, two wings. So that's what would be nice for a team like Rayados right now, and we don't have that. Like we cannot rely on, like, I mean, whenever Aguirre gives you one really good game and then he disappears for 5 games. So
or
we
he gets hurt,
cannot be,
or
yeah.
yeah.
or he gets hurt. One of the two.
Yeah. And I mean, Corcho, like, the best
I
thing for
mean,
him is to
if
leave.
you got it,
He needs to start again because whatever he does, nobody's gonna like him. We don't need a player that's gonna be booed every single game. So the best thing for him is to leave because
oh,
he's not gonna,
I
like,
mean, if
he's
he
not.
goes to Boca
I
Juniors,
feel
that's gonna be another thing.
that's
That's
over.
another dumpster fire. That's gonna be a dumpster fire if he goes to Boca Juniors, because right
I don't
now
think he's
they're a
gonna.
mess.
I don't think he's gonna get back to the level he did on the first season. That he was amazing, but I don't think he's gonna be back to that.
Uh,
Or he can.
I mean,
But
he
at the
can,
same
but
time,
I don't think
again, if
nobody's gonna.
you're having your
Nobody's
whole
gonna be
stadium
patient.
booing you the whole
Yeah,
time, I
it,
don't think he's gonna have motivation.
and you have to, like, if you're gonna bring in some foreign players, you have to make tough decisions. Like at some point, you just can't be like,
Yeah.
you know, there's no
If
there's
Ambris
no
is doing the same thing and he's not taking the spot, just keep him because he's
it
doing the same
it
thing.
it all comes down to being a foreign player. I think that's what it
Mhm.
is too. If you're gonna bring in some foreign players, you have to give up some, or move out some foreign players. And I don't think I know last year it was easy to like move out Johan Rojas, move out, who else left last January. I'm trying to think, like, uh, I'm trying to think. I'm blanking on the names, but like, oh, Sebastian Vega. Like, it was easy to move out
Oh,
some of these players because they were like, we don't, they
yeah.
we don't need him.
we don't need them anymore. It's become a little bit more harder where it's like maybe you have one or two players that you can do that, but then it becomes like a little bit challenging. Like, do we give Ocampos another tournament? Do we is what's gonna happen with Deos? Like, it becomes a little bit more challenging when you don't have like those players who are like, yep, get rid of them. And it's like, if you're gonna bring in some foreign players, you have to sacrifice some foreign players too. So
Yeah.
We'll see
Because
what's
you
gonna
have certain
happen there.
players like Canales, like Oliver. You have players like De Osa, and it's like it's worth having that spot taken.
Yeah,
So yeah, I guess.
and then you got Ramos too. So it's like you have these foreign spots where it's like they're not going anywhere, and so it's like now you have to like really cross hairs. It's like, is this person really worth keeping? And I think that's what they're doing with Ocampos. They're going to try to give him this tournament and see if Torren can rescue him. If not, then there's going to be
Last
questions
one.
about him.
Last one.
So we'll see there. But yeah, I think we've kind of covered everything. Um, Monterrey is back. I think they've been gone for like 2 weeks. Now they're going to be back. Um, one before we go. Do you go with a lot of youth players to start the? You know how America did last
Yeah.
tournament, where it's
Yep.
like they only like, for the first three match days or 4 match days, they let like the youth players play, and one you accumulate the minutes for the youth players, and two you just give your older players a rest because to me I think you got to give the older players a break. You got to give them two, I would say 2 match days. Maybe go with some
Two
of the
or
younger
three.
players and like let
Yeah.
them rest. Let them
Yeah.
Plus,
rest.
you also get the youngsters getting some experience before going to Leagues Cup, so
Hmm.
they understand themselves a
Also,
little better
yeah.
as a
Yeah.
team.
And I
And
don't think Torrent is gonna leave. Like even if he uses like all of the youngsters, I don't think the game would be like out of control. Like
yeah,
I feel he's gonna be able to control it with the
yeah.
young
I don't
players.
think it's just like that's the thing. I don't. It's, you have. Let's face it, Monterrey's an older team, and I don't think 2 weeks, especially when you're playing at that
Yeah,
high level that they needed to play. I think you need to like
you could
give
see
them.
at
I
minute.
would say give them a month off. So
Yeah,
it's barely been 2 weeks, or it's coming up on 2 weeks. I would say give them another two, the first 2 matches, and like we said, just finish in the top six, and you're good.
yeah.
That's all you need to do. You don't. I don't even know what the fuck they're doing with the playing anymore now. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
You know that you're
They
Um,
gonna
got rid
have
of
like
it.
you're
I
gonna
thought
play
they did, but
with the
it's
best,
apparently
but
still there. I don't know. But I
So
think
confusing every year.
yeah, that's why I just said finish in the top six. I don't know if there's a plan or not, but to me, I would give
yep.
the older players like Ramos, Canales, all the players that are 30 and older. Give them the first 2 match days off. Let them maybe if you need to play them like coming off the bench,
You can
but
start
I
with
I,
Rica. You can start with Hueso. You can
I would
start with
start with a lot of the backups
Leone.
and I would use youth players. I wouldn't call up some of the older players. Just give them a month off, get them refreshed, and then
I
towards the
mean,
end of this month, start counting on them. Like after the first 2 match days, start counting on them because again, you don't want to like you don't you don't want to run them into the ground. You need them to be ready or not ready, but healthy at the end of the season, which would be November, right? Late
yeah.
October,
Exactly.
November, um, because that's when you need them. So the first 2 or 3 match days, I would play the young players, play the backups, and just understand that you can't run your older players into the ground. So that would be it. But yeah, I think that's
It
that's
would
gonna
be a
work.
stupid decision to actually play them right now and ask for 100% right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
I
I
mean,
yeah.
you play against Pachuca, you play against San Luis, and you play against Atlas.
it's
So
not easy games though.
Pachuca, at least for
Jimmy.
the way they came off,
I
since they
but
don't have
uh,
Rondon anymore, I feel like it became a pretty weak team. The only
Kennedy.
people that you have to
Uh,
watch out for
I
now is Kennedy,
is Kennedy
uh,
staying?
I don't even know
Montiel,
if he's staying
and
or not.
Idrisi.
I don't
I don't
think.
know if he'll try to force it to cut the loan short. Because
Hopefully,
he's there
poor
until
guy.
the end of and if for some reason Jimmy Lozano is not playing him again, the guys I don't know how he gets these jobs, but
I wish I
I
had that
think
luck.
I think they should. The only one that kind of scares me a little bit is San Luis because they did get a new manager, and you don't
Ya
know
no
what
me da
this
miedo el
manager
San Luis.
you don't know what this new manager can bring. Like I think
Yeah,
Atlas does Atlas have a new manager? Or are they still going with the Pineda guy? I don't know if they got a new manager or not. Like I don't pay attention to the other teams,
Atlas.
uh, but they should be. I think they should.
Yeah,
Atlas.
it's
I
still
mean,
Gonzalo Pineda.
it's still him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I don't. I'm not worried about that game. Then.
as of
Uh,
today.
San Luis,
I would
but
say yeah. I would say two out of those three, or all three of those games, you go with backups and you go with youth players, and you give a lot of your older players a break. You give them a break because, like I said, you need them. You need them at the end in October, November, and if it goes into December, that's when you need them. You need them all healthy. You can't
yeah.
don't if you can give them a break, give them a break. There's no like I said, there's no reason for them to play
There's
Leagues
no
Cup.
need, yeah.
You know, there's you need them healthy. I think we saw like if Monterrey can be healthy, you know, they didn't have Ramos for the Toluca tie.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
who else
mean, we
did.
also we have now El Bicho, so I'm excited about that too.
So we'll see. We'll see. I think to me, like I said, give them the first two or three match days off. Let them get rested. Let them get ready, and then start rolling them out. Like I think once the Leagues Cup starts, start rolling them out for the league, and then let the backups and the young players worry about Leagues Cup,
Yeah.
and then go from there. But anything else you guys want to add before we go?
I'm excited to see because we're gonna be champions.
Well,
I trust in Huelito. I trust Huelito. I'm
well,
really glad. That's the only thing I would add.
one
I'm
thing
really
going
glad
into
about
the season.
Huelito.
One last thing, and I'll ask you guys this: what's one player that you have really high hopes
Mele.
for this season?
Mele.
I'll go. Samira
Mele.
took Mel. But go ahead, explain yourself why you're hopeful for him,
Mele.
and then
I'm
I'll go to
excited
them.
because we're gonna have a goalie that it's not gonna get nervous in situations that it's gonna put like Andrada put us, you know. So I really hope and I'm really confident that this guy's not gonna have that mistakes because he's one of being he likes the pressure, he likes the tension, and we need somebody with actually like a good attitude that it's screaming at them, that it's
Good leadership.
we really need a leader on the back. Like we need one. The only guy that has been proving me that he doesn't need to be that loud was Barovero. Other than that, as a goalie, you need to have that attitude, and you need to. And I'm really glad, and I really hope, and he's really good with penalties. That's it. I really
And
have my hopes up.
what's one player that you're like you need this is like and I'm one I know one of you's on the table campo, so I might as well just bring it up. But like, what's one player that you're like
Ocampos.
this is it's a make or break tournament for me, at least for your opinion, to be like he should stay past this tournament. Zamira, I'll let you go if you want to take Ocampos or if you want to give that to Fernando and take somebody else. But who's one player that you're like it's you have to it's a make or break for them.
That you give them one more season?
Yeah. Like who do you think it's like the last?
Well, yeah. Who do you think? Okay, they need to
Other
show.
than
They need to
Ocampos,
show
like
out.
same situation as
Who,
Ocampos.
you know, who do you need to say like? Okay, they need to show out this tournament, or else for you, they should be one of the first teams to leave next winter transfer window. I mean, if you want to take Ocampos, that's fine. If you want to take that one, but if you have another player that you're like,
I would say because he's Mexican. Because Arteaga too is like if you're gonna play just when you want, we don't want players like that. But you, Fernando,
who's one player that you're like you're really hopeful on, and who's another player that you're really like, okay, they need to show me, or else goodbye, for you.
like the guy from
Hopeful on, I feel like Victor Guzman is gonna be his breakout season, and he's got a lot of potential. I really like defenders. Whenever it comes to being that no nonsense kind of defender, where like he puts his body in. I'm having high hope for him, and hopefully he can play along Ramos a lot more. Just get that experience that he needs from him, and I think with the potential that he has, and even European teams started scouting him, and are now gonna keep an eye on him. I feel like Victor Guzman has what it takes to be at
to
least
come back.
at a good level to go to Europe after this season or the next one. Who
Yeah,
do I who if we're being honest, I'm not saying this for me because I'm pretty happy with them, but Corcho has to show more for him to stay, and I
But he
want him
might
to.
leave now. Like he might
But
be leaving now.
if I would prefer 10 times more for Ocampos to leave right now than Corcho.
That's not gonna
The
happen,
only
bro.
problem is that that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, at least you know that it's a like, at least you can differentiate your opinion from what's reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
feel like he's been like on so much pressure from people that just go off what social media is showing them, just the messages that they see. Like everyone's just like going off at Bertrame, going off on Corcho, and going off on Andrada. It feels like they just have a list, and that's who they go off, and they don't watch the games. They just read, and that's it. Like it's okay that most of your opinions you base them off what social media says,
But still,
because
it's
at the end
like,
of the day, you read it a lot.
but that pressure is
Well,
affecting on him. So he's actually not doing well because of that. And we don't want
exactly.
players like
yeah,
that. So if he's not, I think he's leaving. But if he's not leaving, this is his last season to prove. Because if not, if he's not leaving this season, he's for sure leaving next
yeah,
season. So
Yeah.
he's
uh,
somewhere in like,
yeah. I think so. One player that I'm hopeful on is, I mean, it all depends on what's gonna happen with Deosa. Um, but I mean, I liked what I saw with Fimbres. I think was it was against was it River Plate or was it Aurora? I don't know which one he started on. He looked pretty decent.
I
Um,
think it's
It was
Urawa.
against
yeah,
Urawa.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he looked pretty good. And obviously, you need to count on some young players for your to rack up the minutes.
Hmm.
Uh, but like I said, it all depends on what's going to happen with the OSA. What's going. I think Fimbres is going to get all the minutes in League's Cup, and I think he should be like one of the first ones that you count on if De Osa leaves or if you need to give Canales a break. Because, like I said, I think I hate to use this word, but load management. They're gonna have to like give some of these older players, um, you know, if you have a certain lead, you know, in Liga MX, if you can give Canales or Oliver Torres like a break for a
Give them a
game.
vacation for 2 weeks in the middle
Yeah,
of the season.
I
They
think
deserve it.
I think Fimbres is gonna start the first 2 3 match days. At least I would think, but I'm really hopeful on him. He has like a lot of positives that I really like and I'm really hopeful on. So I really believe like even if he has to do it as a backup, I think he will be like the first in line to like, okay, if we need to give so and so a break, you're in, right? And
Yeah.
that's where he has to show out, and he did that a little bit against Red Diamonds. So it's like I think, like I said, it all depends on what's going to happen with the Osa. Um,
Yeah.
but taking care of Canales, and I think we kind of saw it with Canales in this tournament. And granted, you're asking to play at a higher level, um, but I think it should be a sign that there's going to be times where like, hey, give him a break. Don't don't
We cannot
don't
always
play
depend
him.
on them.
Don't play him 5 straight match days. If you
Yeah.
notice, hey, his body's starting to wear down a little bit, give him a break. Like I think you have to take care of some of these players. Like not just give them the first 2 weeks off, but like if you have a doble jornada, don't play them both of the games. Like
Oh yeah.
you know,
Or don't
it's
start
take
him if you just want to do some minutes. Just
yeah.
don't start them.
Don't start kind of like
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
start like and that's where you should count on Fingers or whatever youngster you want to do. I think to me, I'm really hopeful not just on Fingers. I would really like to see some of these young players kind of like step up because some of these jobs to
They
me,
will.
I feel like they're up for grabs. I don't think De La Rosa should be. I don't know if he's gonna stay or not, but he shouldn't be like first guy off the bench, right? Or
De
Platano
La
Dorado.
Rosa, I think they're actually talking about him leaving to Leon. So
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna
I
happen.
really
And
hope.
unless Monterrey did Grupo Pachuca a favor, and they're now here. It's like okay, you can have the player back now or whatever.
They
I don't know
better.
what they're doing there. There might be some shady things, but I'm really hopeful on someone like I would really like to see something like these young players kind of break down. You guys mentioned it. The Valenzuela kid, he's a winger, right? Like
Yeah,
he played as a
left
left
winger.
winger. He played as a left winger for
That's
the game
true.
against Forge. You need somebody. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna push Ocampos out of the way, but it's like if he can show up and
He
like
might.
show positive signs, you're
Yeah.
like, let me see what he does. You know, because I feel like Monterrey
Try him out.
should
You
be a
don't lose
club
anything by
where
trying him out.
I feel like Monterrey should be a club where it's like nobody should have like their jobs here. Obviously, you know, like Ramos and all that stuff, but like even if you're a high paid player, you should always if a teenager steals your job, then that should be it. You know, it is what it is there. So I'm, I'm that's the only thing that I'm excited for Leagues Cup. I'm hopeful to see some of these younger players to see if they could show that they can play against adults, right? Not just players
Yep.
their age. And then the one player that I'm kind of like for me, it's a make or break. Um, it all depends, but to me, it's I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I've been saying this, but it's like at some point, Eric Aguirre, uh, at some point you got to like either stay healthy or please leave and make room for
Please.
somebody else that's gonna stay healthy, and you can like he was
Yeah.
decent in this tournament. Like it was not like I mean he wasn't setting the world on fire, but he was pretty reliable.
He did
Um,
pretty good against. He played against Inter after Rica Chavez
mhm.
left. He played really
Yeah,
well. We didn't have any
but
problems,
again,
and he was covering Di Marco.
yeah, and it's like
So
and it's back to the question where it's like, why can't you do this every week, or why can't you stay healthy so you can do this every week? But at some point, I think it's you can be patient with the Mexicans, but at some point, you know, patience runs out, and it's like you just can't
I
be here
think
like
that was
like
the surprise for the Club World Cup, making sure that you let us know you have the quality and the
mhm.
level. So now people
It's
are
like
going to be more
why can't you
entitled
do
to
this?
actually, make sure that you're giving that every single game. So that's going to be like the break point to make sure which is going to be your 11
Yeah,
starting.
yeah. So, but yeah, hour and a half or close to an hour and a
Ooh,
half. Lots to talk about.
we
So
needed to catch up.
yes, needed to get this out. We'll be back. We'll see how next week goes. Obviously, because I don't want to record and then next thing you know a transfer happens. This is why I hate recording in the transfer, like when
yeah,
the transfer window is open, because then your podcast just becomes it doesn't matter
Good.
anymore because Monterrey signs a number 9 right after you record, and it's like that's the most important
I
thing.
hope
So
so.
we'll see. Well, I will maybe do it every other week just to like give us time. So like in case a transfer happens, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, really appreciate everybody for tuning in, for listening, or for watching, whichever one you prefer.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Bye.